Hello, in this video we learn how to write the equations of lines which are either parallel or perpendicular to a given line. Let us look into the concept that what are parallel and perpendicular lines. So parallel lines are the lines which do not meet at any point. So even if you extend them in both the directions, they will never meet at all. So these two lines are parallel lines. And perpendicular lines are those lines which intersect one another at an angle of 90 degree. So these two lines, they are perpendicular lines. They are supposed to be intersecting one another, making an angle of 90 degrees. So these are perpendicular lines. So what we need to know over here is that the parallel lines, their slopes are equal. So let us say this is line 1 and this is line number 2. So if the slope of line 1 is m1 and the slope of line 2 is m2, then their slopes are going to be equal. But for perpendicular line, the slope for them are negative reciprocal of one another. So let us say this is line number 1 and this is line number 2. So let us say the slope of line 1 is m1. So if we have to find m2, what will it be equal to? It will be the flip of the sign, because m1 is positive, so we'll make it negative. And if the slope is just m1, which means m1 over 1, then the slope of the perpendicular will be negative 1 over m1. So that's the concept what we have to use. Let us take an example to see how it goes in terms of numbers. So if we have a line whose slope is 2 over 3, the parallel line also will have a slope of 2 over 3. But if we want to find the slope of a perpendicular line, then it will be negative 3 over 2. So negative and reciprocal at the same time. That's just the concept which we have to apply to find the equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, let us try out this question. The question says, write the equation of a line that is parallel to y is equal to negative 3x plus 7 and it passes through the point negative 1 and 6. So in this case, because the line given to us is this, it is y is equal to negative 3x plus 7. So comparing it with y is equal to mx plus b form, we know that the slope of this line is negative 3. So slope being negative 3, and because we are trying to figure out the equation of a line which is parallel, and we know that the parallel lines have the same slope, so the slope of a required line is also negative 3. So we already have one thing known to us, and they told us that the line passes through the point negative 1, 6. So the point given to us is negative 1 and 6. So this is our slope, and here this is the value of x1 and this is the value of y1. Now what are we going to do is we can either use the point slope form or we could also figure out the y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to use right now the point slope form, which is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So we have y minus our y1 is 6. So y minus 6 is equal to slope is negative 3. So we have negative 3 times x minus x1 is a negative 1. So we'll just put negative 1. And now just try writing this equation in a simplified form. So y minus 6 is equal to negative 3 times x. Negative of negative is positive 1. Y minus 6 is equal to, using distributive property, we have negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Now, if we want to write this in the slope-intercept form, we just need to add 6 on both sides of the equation to get rid of the negative 6 over here. So negative 6 and 6 gets cancelled. We have y is equal to negative 3x. Negative 3 plus 6 is just a 3, and this is the equation of a line which has a slope same as this equation, and it also passes through the point negative 1 and 6. In this question, now we have to find the equation of a line. We need to keep in mind now it is perpendicular to this given line and it passes through the point 3, negative 2. So let us first write down our given line. So it is 4x plus 2y is equal to 10. Now, before doing anything else, we need to have this equation in the form of y is equal to mx plus b. To do that, we are going to isolate for y. So 4x on the other side goes as negative 4x. So we have 2y is equal to negative 4x plus 10. And now to get the value of y, we'll divide the whole equation by a 2, for which we get y is equal to negative 4 over 2 is a negative 2x plus 5. We have been able to write this equation in y is equal to mx plus b form. Now comparing it with y is equal to mx plus b, we know that the slope of this line is equal to negative 2. So this line's slope is negative 2. But we have to find a line which is perpendicular, which means the slope of the perpendicular line is, flip the sign, negative changes into positive, and right now it is negative 2 over 1. So we have to also flip the numerator and the denominator, which changes into 1 over 2. So we know that the slope of our required line is 1 over 2, and on the top of that it passes through the point 3, negative 2. So this is our m value and this is our x1 and this is our y1. We can use again the point slope form and figure out the equation. So point slope form is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Our y1 value is negative 2. So y subtract negative 2 is equal to m is just a half times x minus x1, we have 3. So y negative of negative is positive 2 is equal to, use the distributive property over here. So we have 1 over 2x subtract 3 over 2. And now we are going to subtract 2 from both the sides in order to have the equation in y is equal to mx plus b form. So plus 2 and negative 2 gets cancelled. Y is equal to half x. Negative 3 over 2 subtract 2. So when you have negative 3 over 2 subtract 2, I'm just showing it on the side. How do we go about it? So if there's no denominator, it's a 1. When we are adding or subtracting fractions, we need to make the denominator the same, which means both the numerator and the denominator here need to be multiplied by a 2. So negative 3 over 2 and subtract 2 times 2 is 4 over 2. And now because the denominator is same, so we're just going to write the common denominator. Negative 3 and negative 4 gives us a negative 7. So here we have negative 7 over 2. So this is the equation of the line which passes through the given point 3, negative 2, and which is also perpendicular to this given line. I hope you understood and enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.